Welcome back to ZBCN Today. Zebec Network has now been officially added to the Bloomberg Galaxy DeFi Index, which is one of the most influential benchmarks in all of decentralized finance, tracking over $15 billion in assets under management. Think about what that means for a second. Out of the thousands of DeFi tokens floating across this chaotic industry, only 23 assets made it into this index, and Zebec is now one of them. This isn't some speculative ranking on a random website. This is Bloomberg, the same Bloomberg that institutional traders have relied on for decades, the Bloomberg whose terminals sit on the desks of hedge funds, banks, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and pretty much anyone serious in global finance. When Bloomberg validates a crypto project, it's not because of hype or community noise. It's because the fundamentals, the adoption metrics, and the infrastructure are solid enough to stand beside the giants of the industry. And to every single person who insisted Zebec was just another project, or kept throwing shade without even understanding what Zebec has been building, well, hold that. Hold it proudly. Because this is exactly the kind of proof that wipes out all the lazy criticism and forces people to accept reality. Zebec is no longer trying to make it. Zebec has officially arrived. Everything shared in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. What makes this even more satisfying is that the loudest haters are almost always the people who never actually open a report, never read an update, and never follow the roadmap. If you even took 10 minutes to check the quarterly compilations Zebec has been putting out, you would have seen that Q3 was packed with high-level developments, real-world integrations, and technical milestones that most projects can only dream of delivering. And Q4? They literally said, word for word, that they were going to finish the year with heat, and they have not disappointed for even a single week. This project operates like a team that isn't building for hype, but building for permanence. And yet, despite all this output, despite the partnerships, despite the innovations, there are still people who wake up in the morning just to complain about a project they don't even understand. That's just life. Even if you're winning, even if you're dominating your lane, that irritation from a handful of critics is inevitable. No matter how good you are, people will try to dismiss you. But as we say, if you're a hater watching this, hold that. The index has assigned Zebec a 1.55% weight, which might look small on the surface, but in the context of a 23-asset institutional basket, this is a massive statement. To be mentioned in the same breath as Uniswap, Aave, Lido, and other major DeFi titans is a badge of honor. These are the industry's heavyweights, the protocols that define decentralized finance, and now Zebec is officially standing shoulder to shoulder with them. And despite that, Zebec is delivering something unique: real-time payment streaming, payroll automation, treasury solutions, and an actual bridge between TradFi and Web3 payroll infrastructure. No other project in that index does what Zebec does, and that's exactly why its inclusion is so important. Bloomberg isn't rewarding hype, they're rewarding utility. If this is what Q3 and Q4 brought to the table, imagine what 2026 is going to look like. Market-wise, the response has been immediate. We've been talking about accumulation zones for weeks, especially the 0.0022 region, and guess what? Price tapped that level, buyers stepped in, and now we're pushing toward the 0.0034 area with strong momentum. And yes, your boy bought at the 22 level, and yes, we are comfortably up. But what's even more striking is that Zebec is doing this on barely $16 million in daily volume. That's nothing. That's microscopic compared to what happens when institutional flow actually kicks in. Imagine what happens when the volume isn't $16 million, but $160 million, or $1.6 billion. Imagine the kind of market cap expansion that follows when funds, ETFs, ETPs, structured products, and corporate treasuries start entering. People underestimate how violently a low-cap project can move once heavy money decides to step in. Today, it's an 11% move. Tomorrow, who knows? Over the last month, the project was down roughly 30 to 35%, but the recovery has been aggressive. We're now sitting at minus 12.8% on the monthly, and if you bought the dip, congratulations, because this is exactly how institutional footprints look when they're quietly loading up. The user base is rising too, with holder counts jumping by 300 in a single day, then another 100 the next day, and continuing upward. Sure, people love to call it bandwagon activity, but that's how adoption works. First you have silence, then curiosity, then momentum, then a wave, and Zebec is entering that wave phase right now. And here's where things get even more interesting. The institutional wallets. FalconX Global, 21 shares. Hot wallets visible on Solscan stacking hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ZBCN. These aren't retail traders tossing $40 into a meme coin. These are entities that manage billions and are preparing for what they believe will be the future of streaming finance and blockchain settlement. FalconX recently taking over 21 shares, the kings of ETPs with $11 billion AUM, should tell you everything you need to know. Institutions are not gambling. They are positioning. Every major wallet we've tracked investing in Zebec over the last year has been accumulating in the 0.0032 to 0.0045 range, and they have shown zero panic in drawdowns. Why? Because they aren't stupid. They know how asymmetric bets work. You put in $1 million, and if the asset 100x's, you walk out with 100 million. That's the entire point of early-stage crypto positioning. And if institutional players are willing to hold long-term and absorb volatility, then maybe retail traders need to stop panicking every time the chart goes red for 48 hours. Coinbase hasn't touched it yet, Binance hasn't listed it yet, but anyone with even a basic understanding of market cycles knows that these listings are a matter of inevitability, not possibility. Zebec is now in Bloomberg's ecosystem. Zebec is being accumulated by deep pockets. Zebec is delivering quarter after quarter. The stars are lining up exactly how long-term investors hoped they would, and shout out to the Zebec community. Because none of this traction exists without the people consistently tweeting, commenting, sharing, posting, and pushing the conversation forward. One ant is small, but a colony of ants? That's unstoppable. The viral presence, the noise, the visibility, that comes from every single community member who refuses to let this project fade into the background. Now Bloomberg is highlighting Zebec, real-time payroll innovation, blockchain settlement, cross-border payment evolution, powerful institutional alignment. Everything is connecting. The narrative is becoming undeniable. This is how major assets are born. Slowly at first, then suddenly. Audlin. And that wraps up today's breakdown here at ZBCN Today. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you more daily updates on Zebec and the entire Web3 ecosystem. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your take.